Colombo build. This is SeaBear, who used a Cover My Replay on it. The Colombo is a Tier 10 Italian battleship. We call it the Pasta Boats. She is the end of the line so far. There's no super ship for her just yet. That being said, there are some things going for her. She's got fast shell velocity from her guns. She's got 360-degree turrets in the rear, so it makes it easy to adjust one side or the other. She also has fuel smoke, and actually this is a perfect time to do this replay, SeaBear, because I saw a Discord conversation in my Ask the Pros channel all about, I think Django Plume, you were asking, right, about the Italian battleship line. And myself weighed in, and I know SAT weighed in and stuff like that. They're not bad. They're just also not great. The problem with Cristoforo Colombo is that typically she overpens a lot of cruisers and doesn't have the penetration, because these are, 381s? Doesn't necessarily have the penetration to cut through battleship armor unless it's really close. So that's kind of the struggle with them.
She also had an accuracy problem. I think she still does, although it got recently buffed.
Well, she was released, let's go back in time. She was released at the same time that Deadeye was a commander skill. Jerkwaffle, thank you for the follow, by the way. And I think that the problem with that is she was balanced based around most people taking Deadeye. Deadeye gave you a boost to your accuracy if you're not detected. So Cristoforo Colombo puts up the fuel smoke, not detected anymore, fires main guns with really good accuracy, things die. Okay? Then Wargaming got rid of Deadeye. Rightfully so, in my opinion. And we end up with a ship that was balanced based around a commander skill that no longer exists. So her accuracy does lack a bit, which is why she's probably a better brawler with other battleships, but she's not a good brawler with cruisers because she'll overpen those cruisers. So she's kind of in a weird spot. Okay? She's got the ability to fire SAP rounds or AP from her main battery. So you're not going to set a lot of fires with it, but the SAP absolutely can and will slap things. Yeah, she's similar to Loria. And that's what, hey, thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thank you for lurking. So, SeaBear, let's take a look at the build that you're running. You've got main armaments mod 1, damage control mod 1, aiming systems mod 1, damage control 2, concealment mod 1, and main battery mod 3. Not a bad build. It's a standard build for battleships. There's one thing I want to highlight, and that is here. You went for damage control mod 2. Most people will do that with battleships. They don't like being on fire. They don't like burning and flooding. So they're going to use this. In the Cristoforo Colombo, actually, I might consider using propulsion or steering gears instead. Probably steering gears, frankly. If you're going to play her as a brawling ship, up close and personal, the steering gears really helps. Okay? Because your rudder shift time goes down to 12.27 seconds, and the turning circle is 960 meters. It's pretty decently large. So you need to be able to angle your ship to incoming fire and adjust things on the fly. So I feel like steering gears might be a better choice for you. SeaBear, are you there? Do you want to say anything at all about that or no?
Yeah, I'm here. I find with the Colombo, steering gears might be a good choice. I usually try and pick a flank and stay on it so I can better manage my angles against people until I decide to actually push in and get into the meat of the brawl. But the being able to stay alive longer, especially as I'm grinding this captain, I think I still have 18 points on him. I'm trying to get the last 3. Staying alive was a bigger issue, especially with the teams I was playing with.
Okay. And if you're playing it as more of a standoffish traditional battleship, then you're probably better off going with, with what you have. This is more for, getting in aggressive, pounding someone in the face, and maybe going back to port or not, but at least you had fun.
Well, this is I think you'll see from the replay. I do not try. I do not like standoff battleships. I think you need to be at least one grid squarer from your cruisers and two from your destroyers. Get in there, make your presence known, and that's one of the reasons I've really liked the Colombo is you can use that fuel smoke to either get in or disengage, but really make your presence known. I really don't have trouble. I know you were saying about the AP and the SAP. I have really been surprised where I've slapped battleships or cruisers with SAP and just done ridiculous damage, and then I'll get odd. Like, wow, that was a Citadel. I wasn't expecting that. So the guns are really trolly, depending on what ammo and just how RNG favors you that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you turn him up a little bit?
I have him at 200%. I don't know if there's any way for you to turn yourself up, SeaBear. Does someone use Mix It Up command editor bot? I do not use Mix It Up bot. I actually use Streamer bot right now. Something else I still have to look into.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, for those of you guys who missed what he was saying earlier, he doesn't like playing a standoffish battleship. He wants to be a little bit more aggressive to it, but he finds generally that he gets a lot of mileage out of Damage Control Mod 2. So fair. Okay. And also, he's had really good salvos with SAP, and sometimes the AP is really lackluster and trolls him. And what I was going to say is that usually in the Italian battleship line, you need to train yourself to shoot at cruisers, not when they're fully broadside, but when they're actually a little bit more angled, because you need more room for the shells that penetrate to arm in the Citadel before they exit the ship. And if it's completely sideways, that the shells go through and whatever. So anyways, and then you've got spotting aircraft. Is this Sansonetti?
No, this is just a regular Italian commander I was training up. Sansonetti is he's not trained really for this. I think I've got more spec for the Roma. Okay,
because of course he would have the gun feeder boost and the other talents that goes along with him. Anyway, you did gun feeder, grease the gears, adrenaline rush, and then the standard safety things. What are you going to do for your last 3 points?
We went for the speed boost and stealth, and I think I went for the 1 point with the gear icon. Or the wrench icon, the one that resets your stuff and helps you survive a little better.
Okay. Brisk makes sense because if you smoke up, you're faster, which allows you to close the distance with your target much quicker. So I was actually going to suggest Brisk would be a good choice. Emergency repair specialist is okay. I might look into consumable specialist because instead of this, because that gets you your smoke available quicker, right? So that could help. The other thing too is preventative maintenance to keep your secondaries anti-air up. But honestly, I think consumable specialist might be a better choice. Okay. And then for flags, you're not wearing protection.
Yeah, I until the last patch, I had never had my ship detonate. I really don't care. I'm playing randoms.
Okay.
And then I think one of my first battles after the latest patch, I had a torpedo hit my stern and the whole ship just went up.
It's what always happens. So you've got fire extinguishing, flood, heal boosting, speed, consumables, anti-air, secondaries, and smoke. I'd probably just drop the anti-air and grab the protection. Actually, honestly, I would drop the anti-air and the secondaries, and I would pick up anti-det, and I would pick up the ramming. You never know when you need to ram somebody. Use that final torpedo.
I think I rammed a destroyer. No, not a destroyer. I rammed a sub recently in the Colombo, and I had to stop playing because I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. And the nice thing about this when you ram a sub is that you get less damage from the ram. I mean, ramming is 100% healable, but in a middle of a fight, that could still be something, right? That could still have some value. So,
Is the ram 100% healable, or is it just the flood the ram causes?
The rams itself is considered flooding damage.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
And more importantly, did you reverse over the sub unaware that he was behind you?
No, I intentionally ran him over.
Okay, that wasn't that funny.
We had a. I don't know if you saw the replay or not. I see. Oh, I need to take a screenshot. I don't know if you saw the replay or not of that SeaBear, but it was a Des Moines game on Ocean, and he literally backed up over the enemy sub and killed it without even recognizing he was there.
So a couple patches ago, when I was playing this, was not being very impactful with the Colombo, but we were winning and I was pushing. I'm trying to think whatever that map is. It's the one that has the A cap that's inside an island ring with 2 exits.
Right. And there's a bunch of other islands everywhere else, and there's water. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep,
Puddin.
yep, and a sky too.
I knew you were talking new. Anyway, it has
I was thinking Sleeping Giant with the Thunderdome then. There's
Yeah.
two ways in and out, right?
Yeah, Sleeping Giant with the pagoda towers. Anyway, I was in the northern cap, and the last enemy submarine ship alive was in the southern capping, and I just fired all 4 turrets in random directions, and 1 SAP shell connected for, I think it was 3,000 damage, and I blind shot sank a sub. And at that moment, I knew me and this ship were going to have a lot of fun together.
Right. Screen freeze. Sorry to hear that, Wolfie. I'm glad you got it fixed. And Vempe Horror, that was a ridiculous dev strike. I read that. Good job there. You could have put your plane up and got that shot early, but I mean, I probably would have, because the Monarch is still there. You can absolutely chew into him with the sap.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the Fire Island he'd be able to clear.
Probably.
Well, my luck with the spotter plane is, as soon as I get it up to shoot at something,
everything
go
goes
dark,
away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'd rather use the spotting plane for when I'm rushing somebody in smoke, using it for eyes.
Yep. And that's the right way to use it.
More importantly, where's your destroyer player to spot everything so you can get ribbons?
He's stopping. Okay, there you go. Well, the Shimakaze was in the middle, spotted by the Benson, who's gonna probably die anyway.
No, me and that Shima are gonna have some fun later on.
Mm-hmm.
Torpedoes, direct front. Torpedoes, direct front.
And rip the Benson. Well, at least you got the smoke here that you can sit in. Although you've got more torpedoes coming your way. Shimas are OP. Take the shot there on the Des Moines. See those rear turrets? Being 360, it's so nice. You can get them turned and everything. Alright, smoke is ending. You're spotted, and you're going for it.
I find the rear turrets on the Colombo to be really comfortable if you're going to be an aggressive player, especially when you're pushing enemies.
Okay. Now, I often like to pause when you're smoking here, because I think this is an important question. What's your purpose behind the smoke here?
This battle had been, I think, my 3rd battle, and I was really getting tired of teams being passive and not pushing up, and so I decided to, make myself known. And if I was going to die, I was going to die taking a cap, not sitting back there on the H line.
Okay, so your idea is to be very aggressive, surprise the enemy by your aggressiveness, and pray to God that your team follows you.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's take a look.
I would have saved the smoke down until you got on the cap.
Either win now or go next, yeah. Well, if he saved the smoke until he got on the cap, the Shima would have been spotting him until he got on, right?
Alright, but I mean, you're gonna get on the cap and not be spotted on the cap.
Oh my God. We'll get to that in a second.
Well, there goes that theory, because I have a bad feeling this North Carolina will not like what happens.
And this is the nice thing about using that smoke. Double Citadel. Yeah, that hurt him.
Torpedoes, direct front.
The nice thing, too, is with your turn, you completely screwed up these torpedoes that were coming your way. That's nice. Imagine being an accurate battleship, right? That would have been a death strike if you were an accurate battleship.
It's not how Deadeye's supposed to work, Seabear.
Listen, I just shoot them. I don't land them.
Right.
I probably would have switched to sap after that hit when I saw him starting to turn in. Because now you're stuck shooting at an angled ship. And he died anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so you're going to turn south now to deal with the Napoli? Looks like it.
I would definitely have SAP ready for the Napoli.
Mm-hmm.
Right about here, I was concerned about where the destroyer was and if that cruiser was going to push the gap.
What gap?
The gap between A and B. It kind of, I've had a lot of ships poke out of there and surprise me, so I'm always a little hesitant when I'm this close to those areas.
Could always put a plane up, because that would look for it. I mean, your smoke's on cooldown anyway. Now, you're coming out like this. Okay. Because if you look at the Napoli's last known, you would expect the Napoli to not come through the channel, but to, you know, wrap up south. But you don't know
either
right
come
now.
south or go to sea is what I would suspect the Napoli would do, but...
Yeah.
Then again, this is World of Warships, so some way, somehow, the Napoli's gonna find a way to go through that gap.
I mean, this is the thinking man's action game.
Pull.
Alright. Sap on the Monarch. Does nothing. 4 ricochets. Oh, look, it's the Shimakaze!
I need help.
Well, the dog's not happy about this.
I think what I'm watching on stream is a little behind. You might want to engage the torpedo beats here in a second.
And by the way, this is where that steering gear would have helped too. But fortunately for you, the Shimakaze panic dumps the torps at you. And
You know what it would really have helped if you would have just killed him the first time you saw him.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
and 9 penetrations later, there goes the Shimakaze. Isn't SAP great? Napoli made a full...
Destroyers
You could have done that with the
take,
P2.
Yeah.
full sap damage from battleships.
What was that, Big O?
I don't think destroyers take full sap damage from battleships.
No,
No,
they're limited
they
to...
don't.
I don't remember what, 10%?
I don't know if it's a 10%. It is a 10% of the AP.
It's 10% of the SAP damage as well. Like it's
Armor piercing
caliber
only
based.
does
Hmm.
10% to 10% on the overpens. So like, let's say you do 1,000. Let's say overpen is 1,000 damage. You're only doing 100 damage to that destroyer. I don't know what it is for sap.
I think it's stupid that you can have overpens and overpens. It should just be a flat 10%.
Screen set.
It's all over pen from anything 300 over. Thank you, Good Jam. This marker just wants to die, so that's cute. Never mind, accuracy is the thing. Why did you stop instead of, like, continuing on after the Monarch?
I was looking at the fact that we didn't have a cap. We're losing, so sometimes it's best to play these things like a destroyer, and so I was using smoke to make sure that I got the cap.
Mm-hmm. But then after that, you just reversed back and kind of sat there for a while.
I wanted shots at that cruiser.
That you're currently sitting broadside to?
That's probably some torpedoes.
Right. Which mod is the radar threat indicator? That is the minimap mod by Battleframe. It's in Aslane's. Not quite sure if it's in the other one. I think it is. Mod Station. Well, you got the Cyclone. The nice thing about Cyclone is usually people just charge when there's a Cyclone. So right now you're just waiting to see if the Napoli shows up.
Pretty much. I don't like the fact that he's behind us. Also, I
Oh
really
my
had a bad
God.
feeling about this battle that we were going to lose, so I really didn't think about playing strategically. I just thought about doing as much damage.
Imagine if you had AP loaded there. Oof.
Probably would have been all over pens and bounces.
Probably. Probably.
I mean, let's face facts, it's a Napoli.
And Napoli is outside of the 8-kilometer spotting range for you.
See, I wouldn't have stopped there. I would have just kept going forward, knowing that it's Cyclone. He's going away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be spotted. Your guns aren't going to reload.
Nope. Exactly. Spending a lot of
Because
time
even if-
sitting here, and the Flandre is doing the same job you're doing.
Because even if the Attitude do as much damage as possible, you just go ram the other battleship and be like, okay, I'm done.
Here's the Vermont. And the Ragnar. Right, super aggressive early game and then very passive mid game. Right, which I wasn't expecting. Get the replay render ready. There we go.
See, ironically, if you would have went through the channel, you probably would have had at least one free salvo on this Vermont that's shooting a Flandre.
Yep.
Oh no, it's a
Upside-
Ragnar. Panic.
It's a 4X Ragnar. Or Panic.
Ow.
Ooh, gamer words in chat. You wanted to YOLO and go next, but accidentally survived, and yeah, you're like, now what?
But I mean, it's one of these. Now you're coming out knowing Vermont guns are already looking this way.
Most likely, yep. Heal time. I would definitely be healing, and I would be turning away. I wouldn't be turning in like this, because like what Puddin said. You probably have a Vermont looking right at you.
Well, I mean, if he kills this Ragnar fast enough, you just smoke screen it up.
Look, Ragnar, or Vermont.
Destroyer foundered.
Also, you're very lucky that the Ragnar didn't just ram you. Frankly, I'm surprised he didn't. Also, you're aiming too high. You aimed right at that rear turret. 13 sap shells hit the rear turret armor and didn't pen. Switch to AP. Aim lower next time. Aim for the weaker butt armor. You're just gonna ram, aren't you?
No, I'm a little more disrespectful than that.
You're gonna drop depth charges on him? And then scream, I saw this in COTS?
Torpedoes astern.
How did you do 17k and it didn't do crap to you? You're both that close.
Torpedoes to port.
Too close. You need to get
He would have died to that torch.
you need to get out of the tech range. There you go. Okay. All right. Well, you just did the disappearing act, so that's good. And the Vermont dies to technically your fire, but let's be real. The Shimakaze just saved your bacon there.
All stations.
The Vermont was probably zoomed in, trying to like aim for that, and you saw when SeaBear went, he was not zoomed in.
Dead ahead. Torpedoes to port.
The 360 turrets are a liability at that range. Why is that, SAT?
As ASAT said so.
Okay.
Because you don't get the indicator when they can shoot or not. Like they stop turning, so you might shoot them too early, and then they don't fire because they're clipping your superstructure still. And by the time you realize you have lost the window,
CT says, because you're aiming with your front guns. Oh, resets just in the nick of time from that Sherman. Because of the way that you're aiming with your front guns, your rear turrets are looking the wrong way. I think you're talking about as you pass the Vermont, right?
yeah. Because the indicator tells you, like, because it's constantly moving, even if the rear turrets can't shoot, you think you can shoot, but you actually can't with them. So you shoot too early, only your front guns fire. And by the time you realize your rear turrets haven't shot yet, you can't shoot them anymore because they can't keep up with the traverse anymore.
So think of it this way. So your front guns are going to be facing a little bit off the bow because you want to get them off ASAP, right? In a standard battleship where the back guns can't follow the main, can't traverse all that way, they get stuck. So when you pass by the ship, you just switch over to the right a little bit, and then you can fire your rear guns, right? But if you have a 360 turret, guess where the guns are aiming?
Ship is on fire.
Right exactly where you're aiming your front guns. So as Grunty said, they're in your superstructure.
Yep.
And by the time you try to unmask them, it's like, oh, whoops. I guess we're stuck in the superstructure. Now I can't turn, so I guess we're never firing.
Sounds like a skill issue with the guns.
It
Wait, wait.
is kind of a skill issue because you don't realize it and shoot too early. You just need to wait a tiny bit longer before you shoot, or aim a slight bit behind. And
Yeah. You can somewhat overcome it, but it's a unique problem with the rear 360 turrets.
I hate that too. Like when you play a ship, like for example, let's say a Ragnar or a Smaland or a Haaland, where one turret is in the back, the other one is in the front, and you think you can fire both of the turrets in a destroy engagement, but you're only shooting one of them. Like the
Yep.
game doesn't tell you that the rear gun can't fire.
Yep. And then you lose
At
the
least
engagement
not
because
in
of
a
that.
way that is easy to see.
Petro is also a huge problem with it. Also gets a huge problem with this. I think Petro is actually the biggest offender, because your turrets are slower than some battleships.
I do
Wait a
like, by the way,
minute. When did the Petro get a rear turret?
I like how
I don't
you
know.
kept on getting reset by that Sherman. Each time you were just about to cap.
Yeah, he was particularly annoying. I think
Where
at one point I
on
was
that
one
Sherman farming resets?
Mm-hmm.
If only I knew two people that farmed ribbons.
Yes, I'm quite aware of the karma
Irony.
here.
AP for the broadside Yoshino? No?
I just slapped him with the
No.
SAP.
Yeah, he's at low enough health.
Fair enough. And there's your Kraken.
Well, so
And
much.
you're happy.
Well, now you can finally move on to the next game.
Right? Jeez.
Five
So from
ships later.
someone who plays that ship actually, as we could just see, did you play it before the buffs?
Yeah, I've actually this is one of the first times I've worked up a line. So I came up from I think the tier 7
Okay.
and 8 and came up to it.
How much do you think the buffs actually help the ship?
What were the buffs again?
That's
Turret
not a good
angles.
sign that you say that.
Turret
Well,
angles
that
is one.
question.
Accuracy was the other, I thought, right?
They
I
buffed
could
the Sigma by 0.1. They buffed the rear turret firing angles.
I will
Well,
say
I
that
think
the turret angles, I can notice that one, but when people say, "Oh, it's more accurate, it's less accurate," I've been trolled by some of the most accurate ships in the game, so I don't even care anymore.
I mean, the
I
difference.
try and have good aim, and
1.6 Sigma is still not good. So yeah. And the third buff was, I think, the rudder shift time. By 1.5 seconds or something like this.
You
Okay.
get 1.7 Sigma on a 16-gun battleship. I don't think you're allowed to complain that much.
I'm not. The one buff that I could actually say that I noticed was the turret angles. Again, when you're firing battleships at guns, weird things happen at range. I don't particularly like the Montana. Me and it have a beef because I fire at broadside ships at medium to long range, and just like, okay, where'd the shells go?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, that's
I
what
would guess.
happens. That's what happens. You focus too much on the negative salvos, because statistically, you're going to get better salvos in Montana no matter what.
Okay. Well, regardless, it was a nice battle. You did lose a lot of hit points because of that Vermont. You didn't properly, I guess you could say, you were angling the Ragnar. I think you would have been better off kiting away instead of turning in, but you turned in and got slapped by the Vermont because of that. How much did the Vermont do to you? 42,000. So half of the damage that you took that game from artillery shells came from the Vermont. Just the 2 turrets on the Vermont.
I knew I was going to get slapped when I went around there, but I figured just to keep the pressure on the battleship, I figured if I could get close to him like I did, and the smoking away was actually, I thought of that on the fly. But still, I wanted to be on the caps. I knew we weren't going to win this if we didn't kill things and get on caps.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Sap shells versus AP. About the same damage ratio, I'd say. 185 secondary hits for, like, nothing. That's Italian for you. He did.
That's
he
the
did
90
cap 2
millimeter
flames.
caliber.
Yep.
150 of those shells were probably shatters.
Oh, yeah.
Just guessing here.
It's more
Definitely.
for the fires and the psychological damage of, just having all that sprayed at you.
I mean, you did get a ship kill because of that, right? Technically, you killed the Vermont because of that, however many fire ticks you got. So,
Well, that I do have a close quarters medal. I think that came off a destroyer, though.
in this game, that was from the Vermont, I think. Well, no, because that was the fire that burned him down. So you did get a close quarters on something else. Might have been the Shima. No, I thought you got 6 hits or 9 hits on him and you died. Maybe the Ragnar. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a good game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay render.
Are you planning on getting the unique upgrade for it?
I don't know. I looked at it. It looks interesting. I kind of like the way it is at the moment.
What does the unique upgrade do for it again?
So it's in testing right now, so it might change.
Okay.
But what
never
it
mind.
does is like, it goes in the 6 slots, so it competes with main battery mod. It will buff your gun reload by 6% instead of the 12, but it will also buff your dispersion by 6%.
Okay.
And obviously there will be no downside anymore in the turret traverse that you get with main battery mod. So you're basically trading 6% DPM for 6% better accuracy and better turret traverse.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, I think it sounds good too.
Yeah, Action C did get fierce for a while. Yeah. Like right here, I expected you to continue going south to work with the Harugumo. But then you're like, nope, I'm just going to go north again. Here's the part where you're just kind of sitting, not really able to do much.
Well, the smoke firing penalty is pretty ridiculous. Like I said, I was more focused on getting the cap.
Right. I feel like you had a really good opportunity to go north and you just didn't take it until later. See, there's the Hargamo dying, so if you would have kept south to work with him, maybe he would have lived and Napoli died, but Sherman and Napoli are working well together.
Yeah, that was a close quarter on the Ragnar.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea why he charged you like that. And a destroyer with no torps.
I think
He probably thought he was doomed anyways, so he decided to charge, but he did not assess that one correctly. He might have just
charged the half HP Colombo instead of the super low Preußen.
Maybe when he made that turn, I guess when he killed the other ship, he probably made that turn and was like, "Oh, wait, that's a battleship in front of me. Well, gotta go in."
I'm just surprised he didn't go for the ram and played around instead.
Yeah, he should have done that, but that's what he should have done if he wants his replay covered. I mean, if I was him, I would just run away. It's like you have time before the cyclone ends, and you can still do some stuff. It just surviving the initial salvo sucks, but at least you have a chance.
Right. All right, y'all. What are we gonna call this replay? Aggressive, passive?
Well, one of the things I've learned in the amount of battles I've played with the Colombo is, while I do want to be aggressive, if you're full throttle the entire match, you're just going to die quickly. And so some of the passiveness you saw in this was me trying to reassess and not go headlong into an area where you're just going to die. The Colombo is really good about picking its battles, getting in there, and wrecking a flank. It doesn't always work, especially when you get surprised by torpedoes or your broadside gets overly hit by a large battleship. But if you can time your engagements and space them out, you can really maximize the heals and the smoke.
Okay. I mean, it's a good point. There's something to be said about not, going too aggressive. I want to pause the replay here. Where's my render? So right here, I felt like you had a really good opportunity to keep going and putting the pressure on, considering you have the two Flandres, and I think that was the Marseille. Yeah, it was Marseille that was going up that way too. You had a good opportunity there to try to put a lot of pressure on. I think that's the only real thing I would have done differently here. When you decided not to, and then you kind of curve back south again, and I see you're on the cap and you're thinking get the cap. If you would have gone north, you probably could have gotten the cap and gone farther up and put the pressure on. Or at least if you had gone north, you'd also have the maneuverability to be able to change and say, okay, I want to go this way instead. But sitting where you did, you spent a lot of time just behind this island with little to no input in the battle. And the Napoli, you basically gave the Napoli time to play whatever game he wanted to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I was very concerned with at least, the ship before with Shima, and then the other two destroyers that were hiding on B. They played a part in not wanting to push up through those channels, and you can see it almost looks like they were sitting there waiting on me to do something.
It does kind of look like that. I mean, the marker, he's got the torpedoes, otherwise not really that much of a threat. And the Ragnar, I mean, you can't smoke in front of him because he'll radar you. But other than that, you know, what's he going to do to you? See, he went kind of sideways to you, and then he decided far too late to go for the ram. But at that time, he was relatively healthy, so he probably thought maybe he could do it. And then, too late. One more Kraken. Yeah, picking... You know what? Maybe that's what we call this one. Picking battles.
This is actually the first time I've used the running smoke to disengage so close to a battleship, and then I noticed the torpedoes coming in from the Shima, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about turning my guns. I'm pretty sure he's going to eat those torpedoes.
It's a fun feeling, isn't it? When you can just go dark at 2 kilometers from somebody and laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was rather disrespectful with the way I dodged those Shima torpedoes at point blank, and then just did the drive-by on the Vermont, and it was like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love the Giuseppe Verdi. It's just so fun to sail away and laugh and not worry about anything. So cool. Well, thanks for sending the replay in, SeaBear.
Thank you for covering it.
All right. And it's good to hear the voice again. You sound a little bit different from before.
It's probably just the allergies I'm working with.
Excellent. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are done with replays for the